Welcome back to the Masters of Recon podcast, your top automotive refinishing podcast with your hosts, Corey Kleinfeld
and Ryan Brewer. Enjoy the show, everyone.
Welcome back to the Masters of Recon podcast. Super excited today, guys. We have a very special guest for you. If you are in the PDR industry, you know who this is. If you're not, you will soon. This guy started out in paintless dent repair in 2005. Did that for a long period of time. Started a shop in 2017. Starting to add multiple services to his business in 2019, and now within the last 6 months, completely rebranded his name to an auto spa. We're going to talk about his story, how he got there, and any advice he has for you guys. Welcome to the show, Matt Moore.
What is going on, guys? Thanks y'all both for having me.
Oh man, we're excited that you can be on here. So if anybody's, again, like I mentioned, in the PDR space, most of us, I don't want to say all, but probably all, look to Matt Moore at all this type of stuff, adding services to your business, how to systematize your processes, all those things. So we're going to talk about all that stuff today. Real quick, Matt, just tell us a little bit more background of how you kind of got started in, this reconditioning world we live in.
And just to clarify, most of the guys who do call me, what I end up telling them is just explaining all the mistakes I made like 3 years ago and trying to don't do that. I'm trying this now. I'll let you know in a couple of years how this is working. So, so I got started, really brief synopsis. I worked in the auto industry. I managed the reconditioning at a dealership. Did some sales, did some internet marketing, but I managed their entire recon center. And got to know the PDR guy and the painter and the wheel guy and all the other vendors. But the PDR guy hit it off. He happened to be getting married, moving away, had a business that was going to be left behind. And I approached him about basically training me and then letting me buy his business from him. So that's how I got into the PDR world. I was young and dumb and naive and didn't know that failure was even an option. And that probably is the reason that I'm still here, honestly, because had I known how hard PDR is to get into, I might not have gone down that road, but I did, and was lucky enough to keep most of the accounts that he had earned over the years. And then, like you said, so I did wholesale, dealership work for a long, long time. Yep. And if you've been in the PDR side or if you're in the recon industry and you do wholesale work, if you haven't experienced this, one day you probably will. You're going to walk into one of your accounts and they're going to have changed, going with a different vendor, going in-house, something, and you're not going to get a notice or warning, and you're going to be scared to death. And that's how I found myself. I lost 30% of my business in one day. I walked in the door because they found what they deemed was a cheaper option. And I was terrified. And so I started doing more retail work. So I'd done all this wholesale work. I started doing more retail, learning from other PDR guys that was a possibility, started, really branded a business and a website, and learned how to market myself. And then that led to really loving the retail side and really loving building the brand and building the business. And so I got more and more into that. And then again, felt like I'd kind of hit a ceiling of what I could do working out of the back of my truck, working for myself. And from a personal level, just wasn't challenged as much as I wanted to be. And so I opened a shop and hired my first employees day one. And here we are now. I've got a couple of shops now, full time. And I was just telling you guys off the air, at our shops, we do a multitude of services full time, but then with a PDR background, I understand hail. So when it hails an hour away, because I have a team that can run my shop, I can go over and potentially work with or dabble in or set up even a temporary to potentially permanent shop in a new market, because I have teams that run my current retail shops, which is really the longer we're in it, the more trust there is between myself and my team to just kind of let them run their thing and let me do what I do as an owner. So that's where I'm at right now.
I think that like that last part, that's what so many people want, right?
Yes.
Especially, PDR guys, detail guys, anyone that's been doing it, you're 05 coming up on 20 years.
Yeah.
Anybody that's in 15, 20 years is like, okay, how do I do this to where I don't have to just do my service all day, every single day, and run a business, all that stuff. So hopefully towards the end of the podcast, we can get some insight on how we get to that point. I'm actively trying to do that now. Ryan, I think you still push a lot of dents.
Yeah, so Matt has been able to do something I haven't been able to do, which is add a good amount of services to his business. And so that's why I look up to him. I follow him on social media, talk all the time as much as we can whenever we go to Mobile Tech. So I think we're going to get some good information from Matt today. So what do we got?
So I'll ask, was multiple services always the plan? And then just to jump off what Ryan did, at what point was it a dollar amount or amount like gross revenue or something? Were you able to, and I know you still push sometimes, you're like the backup, you're like the reserve, like call in Matt, someone's on vacation or sick or whatever, but was multiple services always the plan? And then at what point are you able to kind of step away but then have to run the business?
So the plan originally, I thought that the way to be successful with a PDR shop was to open a shop, to start training employees, to have a manager, and to start doing bigger and bigger smashes and essentially become a body shop eventually. Like that was the direction I thought I was going to go with the business.
Like an actual body shop?
Like an actual body shop. No, I thought eventually we would get so big that we would just become a body shop, honestly.
Again, the theme being it's really difficult to just have a PDR shop and be successful.
It's really difficult to just have any one service in scale. One thing. If you're the guy doing the thing, then your cost of labor is pretty low because you're the guy, right? But as soon as you hire a guy and as soon as you hire a manager and as soon as these guys are on career, I mean, all of them want to be worth more 5 years from now than they are today. Mm-hmm. Your business better be generating more revenue 5 years from now than it is today. Like that better be the case or you're going to constantly be turned over. And I felt like a lot of the reason in the PDR world that it was really hard to scale was no one had figured, not that like I'm doing something that no one else has done. There's guys who've done it, but everyone had a hard time figuring out how to make a 3-year employee into a 5-year and a 5-year into an 8-year and an 8-year into a lifetime, right? Like that, because at some point they become, as an employee, they become more valuable than you probably can justify if you're just a dude fixing door dings. Right.
Yeah. And let's I'll pause you right there and hopefully you don't lose a train of thought. I'll get you back on. But same goes for all services, window tint, detail, all that stuff, right? We pay our guys, whether it's they start out hourly and then we pay them a percentage of what they do, right?
Yeah.
And then your business doesn't change, but they want, again, to be more valuable. And you're already paying them in the dent guy space, sometimes 50%, 55%. I've heard 60 before, which I don't know how there's any margin, but you get to that point and you're like, I don't make any money off my employee anymore. So why have an employee type of thing? So like you said, you got to grow the revenue of the company so that those people can grow too.
Well, and then especially if you start bringing on management teams, because those aren't going to be income producing. Like, if you get a guy who's doing a window tint and you have on a flat commission or whatever the percentage is, like you kind of like the more he does, the more you make, everybody wins. But as soon as you start hiring a manager to run it or a scheduler or an estimator or whatever it is, and then as you get bigger, I mean, you're going to hit, going from 1 to 2 to 3 seems scary, but really going from like 4 to 8 to 12 employees is where you start getting into some big boy insurance, getting into some workman's comp, getting into some things that do not make you a dime, that comes straight out of your bottom line at the end of the day. And so you've got to be generating enough income to really kind of hold that ship afloat at some level, right? And so for me, acquiring a customer in any of these is really, really hard. I always joke that if we owned a hamburger restaurant and I had a big billboard with a picture of a hamburger with an arrow, every car that drives by knows exactly what we do, right? But if I have a really nice looking Tesla on a billboard with an arrow pointing down, nobody knows what the hell we do, right? Like they don't know, even if it's outside of window tint, think of if you're in the PPF, if you do window, PPF, or if you do, ceramic coating, nobody understands it. Most customers don't understand without an explanation. And even window tint, nobody understands what the difference in carbon versus ceramic versus dyed tint is. So all of that education, all of that explanation is expensive. That's an expensive marketing. These are not, again, it's not a hamburger or a billboard. This is
it's not a commodity,
longer conversation about, we fix dents, but we don't do this. Yeah, we do ceramic coating and we do paint correction. And this is what that is, And so what we found was that educating customers was going to be extremely expensive, and then labor was going to be extremely expensive. So if we're going to spend all that energy to get all this, the management and the ancillary, the labor that already has to be here for me to do what I want to do for one role. And then we're already spending all this resources to educate our clients. We felt like trying to offer more services to once we found a customer that is our ideal customer, that cares about being educated, that cares about protecting their vehicle, that cares about keeping it, correcting things that go wrong and then protecting it to keep it from happening again. We want to be able to offer them multiple services. And so that's why we've started expanding. And then you also get the benefit, when you're in a repair only side, if you only do dent repair, right? Or if you only do, maybe paint correction or really, painting or bumper blends or something like that, you're only going to be capturing those customers after they've owned their car long enough to get damaged. But with window tint, ceramic coating, PPF, a lot of those are done in the very first 2 to 3 months of ownership. So now you're capturing that customer. And if you're doing it right and you've got a CRM, you've got that customer in your system early on in the ownership. And then you can offer all these other services through the lifetime of that ownership of that vehicle.
Yeah, that's kind of goes. It's vice versa too, right? Because there's a lot of guys just do window tint, ceramic, and they get them. Someone buys a brand new car. A lot of people, a large percentage, maybe you know those numbers, Matt, and go directly to there, get their tint, ceramic, and then they're gone forever.
So outside of a maintenance wash for the ceramic, if you're a window tinter, you don't typically. Until they buy another car, you don't typically ever hear from your customer again, right? Or
you screw up.
Or if you're a PPF installer, and until that PPF fails or until they get in an accident,
get a repaint,
ceramic is the only one that you can create some maintenance washes and some residual out of it. But then again, you still have to have the staff and the space to do something like that. So again, it's and you have to have a CRM and a system that is in place that tells you when this customer needs to come. All those things cost a lot of money, and it's so for us. I love the phrase "business breeds business." So a customer comes in for a ceramic coating. We find a door ding, you better believe they're about to spend $1,800 on a ceramic coating with us. You better believe they're probably going to spend $100, $150 to get that door ding fixed. And on the same side, that customer comes in with an older body Porsche that they're spending $700 to get all the dings fixed. When they get it done, you say, and they look in the shop and they see a really nice looking car in there, and maybe they see another Porsche in there that's shiny. And yours could look like that too. And all of a sudden, that customer that came in to spend $500, $600, $700 with you for a correction, now they're starting to think about, how do I protect it now? Now, would PPF or would ceramic be a good option to keep these things from happening and to keep it looking good? Now that I've got it looking new, how do I keep it looking that way longer? And so I think these services just complement each other so much, even better than the body shop PDR that I kind of originally went into it thinking. I just feel like all these services just complement one another so much, in a way that allows us to grow our client base and grow our brand within the community, and do a lot of just growing our market share really. And it's a slow growth, but I see it every day. The longer we're here, the more times people just walk in saying, "Oh yeah, my friend," or "Hey, I saw you driving down the road," or whatever. And that's huge.
Matt, do you see more shops in the future, like PDR shops per se, adding new services? Because for us, I'm hearing a lot of shops that are just a lot of road guys that have been doing dealership work are like really pushing to start getting into the brick and mortar locations. And I think they're starting to see all the same stuff that we did in the beginning, where, it's all nice. You start hiring employees, but then you got to start spending tons of money on everything we just talked about. So do you see the growth of brick and mortar shops keep going up or going down?
I think that the reason people know my name in the PDR world is because I was one of the first. I wasn't the first, but I was one of the first to kind of publicly, like, this is my journey. This is what we're doing. Like it, love it, hate it, win or lose, fail, whatever it is. I'm just going to show you guys my journey. The more people that do it, the more people that are going to get a lot of people don't want to be the first one to step out there, right? And the more people that see it and feel a little bit more confident, and I've seen how this could work, and I could make this happen, the more that are going to do it. But I definitely think the more people that do it, if you're not getting into multiple services, you're never going to scale beyond what you're just you as a tech. Now you could absolutely open a shop to work out of, if you work in maybe some inclement climate, and like, this is what I want, is just to not have, I don't want to have off days because the weather sucks. Like, I want to be able to work doing my trade in a building, whether it's window tint or PPF or ceramic or detailing or dent or whatever. But as soon as you start scaling your staffing, you better be bringing on more revenue, and it's easier to bring on more revenue quickly, in my opinion, by bringing on more services for the same clients that you're already selling to, right? There's a certain percentage of customers that give a crap about their car enough to spend blank, to spend $1,000 on this, or spend $1,500 on a ceramic, or to spend, $500 on PDR or whatever it is. Like, there's only, there's a majority, there's a certain population of customers that won't spend that money. They're just not your customer. But once you find the ones that are offering multiple services that kind of all overlap a little bit, to me is the only way to survive at scale. So I think you're going to see a lot of people that go into shops and stay one man, but then as soon as they start hiring, they better bring on more services.
I think you need to really sit down with yourself and ask yourself, which route you want to go to. Because if you don't really want to grow, push, create a large business or anything, like maybe don't even start going down the road of hiring people. Get a shop, maybe a front desk staff, and just be like, this is what I do. Like, I'm a dent guy. I fix dents. I make as much as I can out of the shop. I work 8 to 5 or whatever, and then that's it. But just understand that on the backside of that, the difference is that that's not a scalable, sellable thing. Maybe a shop, maybe a little bit if you find another dent guy that wants to take your spot. But other than that, I know with the route you're going, Ryan, Matt, there's all different struggles. But on the end of that, there's some bonuses on the back end. Maybe you're able to step away and not do dents 24/7. Yeah. Maybe you can sell the company, etc. So 2 different paths, both mad respect. I'm sure, Matt, sometimes you've thought like, why aren't I just fixing dents still? I'm sure that's crossed your mind. Like, what am I thought it
every week, probably, like every week crosses my. I mean, that's
exactly.
Legit. Like, I'm not joking. Like, and I don't push that often. I never was someone who liked pushing dents. I'm not a passionate technician. Yeah. I liked being an entrepreneur. I like working for myself. And I like the freedom that came with it. And I like having success that I could look back and say, like, that was me. And I
did that.
You know, when I failed, not having to blame or being able to blame anyone else, look at myself in the mirror and say, like, that was me. Fix it. I like that instant accountability. And so, for me, scaling and, I agree 100%, Corey. You need to look yourself in the mirror and say, well, ask yourself what you want as far as a career goes. I mean, most of the people who are asking themselves these questions are already entrepreneurs, right? More than likely. That's where they're at already. So you're already somewhat creating your own career right now.
Yeah.
If you don't think you're the kind of person who you don't like doing, nobody likes doing taxes, but you don't like doing the business part of the business owner. You don't like marketing. You don't like figuring out your SEO, and that's okay. But you need to be in your head, realize that somebody's got to do it. And if it's not going to be me, I got to hire someone to do it. And that costs money, right? Like, if I'm the head guy, or whether I'm the manager or I'm the business owner, like, if I'm not one of those roles, I got to pay someone else to be one of those roles. I can't do all 3. I can't be the tech, the manager, and the entrepreneur. I mean, it's the EZ, right? Like those three roles all need to exist for your business to thrive. And as a business owner, I really love being that entrepreneur. I like thinking about tomorrow, and I like recruiting the right technicians, and I like creating the processes, and then bringing someone in and saying, look, today you're going to fit this role, but if you show me that you're worth investing in, then we're going to train you to fit this next role. And that's your long-term, and seeing that sparkle in guys, I love that. Like, I get excited about that.
Selling the dream to them,
selling the dream to them, and selling to clients that, like, we're the answer for kind of everything. Like, we don't do a whole lot of wholesale, but the wholesale we do is basically dealerships that got sick of dealing with 10 different vendors. So they just call us and just literally, we have a dealership do the car. It just calls us, brings us a car and says, can y'all just figure this out? Like, if there's we don't, we'll figure it out. There's smoke smell in this car. Like, can you Chrome delete that. We don't Chrome delete yet. We'll figure it out. Like say yes, figure out the details later. And we kind of like being that role in some ways, that we're the guy that we've earned whoever the client is, whether it's wholesale or retail, we earn their trust. And so with that trust came through that education that I talked about. And that trust came through that, like kind of proving that what we say we're going to do and following through with it. But now once we earn that, you know, it opens the door for us to just kind of be the guy for, you know, I literally just got a text from a previous customer that texts me that needs a paint on a fender flare on, I don't know, some portion of something. We don't paint, but I'm just going to handle the job for them. We're going to figure it out to get them to where they bring it to us. And we just take care of the problem for them. And, that's what we do. So
I feel like we should clarify real quick what maybe you do everything, but what services do you actually offer in your shop? So versus not just we'll figure it out stuff, but like
So we offer internally, and there's one of my shops we still contract out some of our film work, and we're training. We've got some guys going through some training, and they're doing some film work, but we still use some level of contractor. But we do in our shop, we do paintless hit repair, we do paint protection film, so PPF. You know, typically we don't do full wrap, we don't do full vinyl or anything like that. We do ceramic coating, paint correction, and then we do obviously hail, but that's still under the PDR. And we will do some small minor collision where it's a lot of part swaps, and we'll sub out a body shop for paint work.
R&I parts.
We'll do the R&I, and we'll do all the parts. We don't do the paint internal.
Tint?
Window tint as well. PPF and tint. Sorry.
Wheels?
We sub that out. We don't we don't offer it other than a freebie for a customer if they bring me the touch up, we'll put it on for free. We don't sell that service.
Interior?
No.
Okay. So exterior everything. Stuff. PDR, PPF, ceramic tint. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But super important, and this is one of my core values too, is like be the car guy, like figure out the answer. And in the beginning, that's just like, hopefully we have people that call us that say, hey, I need, you know, whether it's tint or a body shop or whatever they need with their car. It doesn't matter. In the beginning, it could just be directing them, even if it's another business, right?
Yeah.
Just be that person for them. Like, hey, I know this guy super good. I have a wheel guy that we use. I have a touch-up guy that we use, or whatever. Be that person. And then eventually, if you start the business or the shop have multiple services, you can actually take care of that stuff internally.
I get so mad on social media when I see guys complaining about customers asking for something they don't do. And I was like, it's because either through your marketing or through past experience, they trust you.
Yeah.
They're walking to you with this trust. I mean, like, I don't know where to turn.
Yeah.
And like, to me, even if it's like a front end collision that you don't want to touch or can't handle.
Yeah.
If I'm telling you business advice, and I know this sounds like overkill, I'd get that customer's info.
It's not.
Put them in your CRM, get their email, their phone number, say, I don't offer that service, but I'm going to send you the link to 3 different shops that I've worked with that I would recommend. And then you send them an email. And guess what? Next month, when you're doing your spring cleaning sale for your detail business, or the next year when it hails and you want to let that customer know that, hey, we had a hailstorm, you don't have to. That's one client that you may be able to send a free email to or a free text to, that you don't have to pay for the CRM to get, or for the AdWords to get in front of them, because
that already trusts you. Because that just they called you and said, where do I go, Mr. Car Person? I don't know anything about cars.
Exactly. And so to me, that's a wasted opportunity that when you complain or when you brush that customer off because you don't offer that, and because you can't get, blank from them tomorrow, you can't get $100 out of squeeze $100 out of them tomorrow for something, like, that's you thinking way too short-sighted, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And if that's who you are, then that's fine, but just don't ever think about scaling a business, because that's not, you're not the right mindset for that.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
That's some really good knowledge, dude. I think everybody needs to listen to that one.
Yeah.
Because like you said, man, I hear tons of people that do that. They get so mad that somebody's calling them about window tint, and they're like, I mean, I'm the guy, I did it, I've done that. Yeah. So that's good, man.
Matt, what's a CRM?
It's a customer relationship management software. This is, for layman's terms, this is essentially a software where you put, on the very base level, you put contact info from a customer, the email, phone number, name, maybe the make and model of their car, right? The more robust CRMs are going to allow you to keep up with all of your interactions, maybe your estimates, maybe the phone calls, maybe a log of the calls. As you grow and you've got more people touching the client, interacting with the client, it's really important as an owner for us to have some really, just like you want systems in the way you install your tent or then the way you fix your den, we want systems in the way that we interact with our customers. We follow up with them after a certain amount of days. We send them an estimate within this many days. We give them an update on this, we hear no this many times before we let them go, kind of thing. So CRM, again, the more robust ones are going to allow me as an owner to not only just be involved, but to keep an eye in the sky on how my managers interact with the clients. And then it also, at the end of it, you get your MailChimp type services, which is essentially a little bit of a CRM version. And again, some of the CRMs do a little bit of different services, but you can then do multiple mass email marketing to your customers. You can know which ones opened the email and how many times they clicked on the link. You can see if they forwarded it to someone. So again, you know which hot leads are there. So that's what a CRM is, and it's extremely valuable to a growth.
And the automation too. Like that's huge for us, is that like we still do a lot of mobile service. And so everything goes into our CRM system. They get an automated text 48 hours in advance the night before in the morning of, hey, we're coming. If you need to reschedule, let me know, like whatever you want it to say. Right. And so the automation stuff, at what point should someone think about getting that? I don't want to make this about a CRM because I know you could talk about CRM for hours, but so we'll stop here. But just because you've said it a few times, I want to make sure people are aware. A lot of people that if you're by yourself, most people aren't even aware of CRMs. But if you want to grow, scale a business, change all that stuff, you need to start being aware of these things as in your future. So when should we get one?
If you ever want to scale or grow a business, you need to have some version of a CRM now, tomorrow, like right now. And that could be your invoicing software that you use. You just need two things. You need to be able to capture the customer's contact info, phone number, email, all that stuff. And then you need to make sure with that software that at the end of the day, if you ever want to export that list and put it into a more robust, into a MailChimp or into a HubSpot or Salesforce, then they have a way for you to export that 2,000 client list that you've created over the last 5 years. Because if they aren't going to do that, and you're going to have to spend 3 weeks manually line out of typing, there's better options out there. There's probably free options out there, but a CRM would be, I can't tell you how much opportunity I lost because early on in my career, when I was too lazy to like put in a customer's info, I would
one of the biggest regrets.
Retail client, or I would just like, they're paying cash for this job, I don't need to keep a record of it, right? That's like that. No, that customer paid cash. I want to service them for the rest of my career.
I want them to.
so why should so it's just flat out laziness not to take some info from that customer.
And what we could drop a little referral to, like Mobile Tech RX can do the majority of this. So guys that are in most people in PDR understand what Mobile Tech RX is. If you're in detail ceramic, PPF, wheels, anything else like that, MTRX, Mobile Tech RX, like a prescription.com is a way to capture client contact info, and also has a version of a CRM built in there where they can get some automated text reminders and things like that. So
you can export from there too right now.
Yes, I know that for firsthand because I've exported from so Mobile Tech. We use Mobile Tech in our shop, and this again isn't an ad for Mobile Tech, but I love it.
No, I just drop them.
As a dent guy, we can do PDR with Mobile Tech RX, but then because they offer all the other services. There's a lot of great invoicing and estimating softwares for PDR, and there's a lot of great ones for window tint. There's a lot of great ones for detailing, but there's very few that do all of them, and Mobile Tech RX does all of them. So even if today you don't do all those services, you may down the road do all those services. So having the ability to scale into all those services are really, really big, huge plus for me for Mobile Tech. We wouldn't be where we are as a business if it wasn't for our relationship with them. So.
Same. And the CRM, those two things for sure. Which service, as for PDR guys listening, which service did you add first, and why did you pick that?
We were subbing out window tint first, and we were subbing it out pretty heavily, so much so that we had a guy essentially on retainer 2 days a week, just sitting at our shop.
He just showed up at the shop.
And I committed at we went from a commission to essentially like me trying my hand at having an employee at that role. I would have hired
2 days a week.
2 days a week. Yeah. I would have had full time with him, but he didn't want to leave. He was a contractor and he was scared to walk away. And this was my pitch to try to like woo him into being a part of what we're doing. That was day one, and that was early on. And I really liked it because, again, your dealerships that you already have relationships within your body shops need a tinter, right? So you already have relationships with some wholesale clients that need that service.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, their retail clients, when they do get tint, like we said, a majority, not all, but a majority of them are getting it within the first 3 months of ownership. And so because they're getting it right after they own the vehicle, they come in, especially we have a nice shop, we have a nice waiting room, we have a very nice presence, nice flooring, all that good stuff, big glass, you can see in the shop, we're not hiding anything. So when they come in, when we take the car around and get it, the tint done, they're sitting in a waiting room watching videos of dent repair being done in the past. And now in the back of their head, even if we would love to obviously have the opportunity to talk to them, we got them in our CRM, so we may send them an email talking about dent repair down the road. But even if none of those things land, in the back of their head, they remembered seeing something being about a dent. So when they get a dent, they aren't going to Google search dent repair near me. They're going to just call us just because they're like, don't y'all fix this, right? And so again, it kind of helped. I feel like, go ahead. Sorry.
Do you think that I'm trying to put myself in a position of, I'm out here doing one service, I want to add another service. What should it be? And I know the EZ Dent is correct protect, right? Like you talked about, if you're doing PDR, you're only capturing them later in the life cycle of their car, and you want window tint captures them in the beginning. If you're doing something that captures in the beginning, should you do something that captures them down the road? Is that like the next service you should add? Is like, you know what I mean?
I think there's a huge benefit to doing that. This can be a really long conversation about this, because there's a lot of reasons that, to me, the thing that would be the easiest if I was a single operator right now, right? And I was thinking about adding a service. The way we did it was we brought in the subs, and that kind of opened the door for that. But if I was doing it right now all over, ceramic coating and paint correction would make the most sense. And it's because it for me, it's you already have an eye for, because you understand reading lights and you understand what metal's doing. So you already have an eye for the paint correction portion of it. You just got to learn some of the different compounds and polishes. There's definitely a learning curve, but it's super small compared to PDR. If you're already a PDR guy, you've gone through, in my opinion, what's the longest or close, if it's not the longest, PPF and PDR are the two that take the longest to learn, right? But ceramic is, the paint correction portion is something that's fairly easy to learn. And then the actual ceramics nowadays are extremely easy to apply, and easy to troubleshoot when there is an issue. And it's really hot right now. I mean, it's just a sexy thing. And so again, that's an early on process. Typically, now you do get some longer paint correction, where, you get a couple-year-old car that needs a 2 or 3 step or whatever it is, but a majority of ours are right off the bat. And obviously there's other options for, if you've got something that is more, a 5-year-old car that needs a more robust, you've got other options on the table as well. Yeah. Obviously the Restore FX and that's because that's the road y'all both going down, right?
Yeah,
correct.
I saw like Ryan smirk over there too with like the paint correction stuff. We have an episode coming out next month talking to like with Restore FX guys, kind of talking about what Restore FX does versus paint correction and too. So when you're talking, so ceramic coating and paint correction, or ceramic coating Restore FX is it?
I think ceramic coating to me is the option that's the easiest to teach. I could teach a PDR guy to ceramic coat. I could teach a window tinter to ceramic coat. I could teach, if you have any skills in any of these recon services, ceramic coating would be the one that I could teach the fastest. It's not that it's easy for a layman to do, but you already have an understanding of a car in a way that
it's repeatable.
That's repeatable. Tint takes longer to train. PPF takes extremely long time to train. And even when you do train, there's a lot of troubleshooting. And I mean, we literally have some guys doing some advanced training in my shop right now for PPF that have been doing it for over a year. And we got a rep down, just helping get some more hands-on training. We'd schedule this out just to try to level up that even more. But I feel like if you're adding one service, if I was adding one service tomorrow and I was a one-man operation, ceramic coating would be the one that I would go towards.
I agree. Yeah.
And again, whether I was a PDR guy or a window tinter or a PPF guy, that'd be the one. For us, PPF is the one that, again, has the biggest headaches, because I think PDR would be the biggest headache if I didn't have that background.
Yes.
But because I already have that background, PPF is the one that's the hardest to train. It's the hardest to find the right worker. It's the hardest to set up expectations for clients and those kind of things. they're brand new cars, so they expect perfection or better.
Yeah. Better.
Yeah. But as many times as I've gotten frustrated over the last 2 years with PPF, and even at times thought about, you know what, let's just be these other. There's a lot of clients that when they call, they want to do PPF and ceramic over the top. And if you're not offering PPF, you're probably not going to land the ceramic job.
Yeah,
so
and those are big ticket. Those are big ticket.
They are very big ticket items. I mean, we have a Rivian in right now, one of the trucks that's in right now, and it's a $4,000 ticket for some ceramic and PPF. That as a PDR guy, like none of my dent guys are touching that car, and that's happening at my shop. In the background, not in the background, it's in the foreground. It's right up front. I mean, and I think what's interesting is I looked at the numbers before we came on about the shop and the percentages of the different services that we do just in the last. So I've had one shop for a little bit over almost 5 years now, and I've had the other shop for about 1.5 years now. Mm-hmm. The first shop, I was doing PDR in that market for a long time. So it's pretty well established, right? So the numbers, here's the breakdown. I don't want to bore listeners or viewers with numbers, but our PDR at shop number 1 still represents 45 to 50% of our revenue at that shop right now. And that's, again, if I look at January to today, so 6 months, basically this past 6 months. Ceramic makes up about 25%. Our film makes up about 12.5%. Now that shop is still subbing out a good bit of the film. We will kick those numbers up once we have that internal completely. Mm-hmm. And then we have parts, R&I, subbing out paint, other just miscellaneous stuff, 12.5%. So that's the way that kind of breaks down, right? Mm-hmm. But this store I'm sitting right now, we didn't have an established PDR market here. I opened the store, dropped it in. Day one, had a manager, a PDR tech, a window tinter, and a ceramic coating installer. Day one. So it was a business in a box, right? So I had zero established. Again, we're 1.5 years into this. Right here, our PDR is 30% of our current sales at this store. Ceramic coating is 40% of this store's sales. Wow. And our PPF and tint is 25%. And then the body shop, the miscellaneous, and the subcontractor is only about 5% at this store. So ceramic coating is actually bigger at this store than now, obviously, if it hailed, that would change numbers and all that. But outside of hail, normal living day to day, ceramic coating makes up more revenue at the store that I'm currently sitting in. And it's because it's immediately able to go in, and I think it's easier to market because we were talking about how challenging things are to market. Ceramic coating right now is a little bit easier to understand for a client that's just Google searching. They know
even if they don't understand it, they know they want it.
They know they want it. They know it's the sexy thing that their buddy in the Tesla group has it. Their Porsche, their neighbor that has a Porsche has it. And they know it looks shiny, so they know it does some level of protection. So they get that, and it's a sexy term. I mean, ceramic that's why they use ceramic tint and all the other stuff. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting that day one opening a shop in a box that's actually a bigger opportunity for us than dents are.
Yeah.
And we have less staff doing that at this store too. So.
I want to talk about how you transitioned from, because you were EZ Dent since 2005, right? Or somewhere around there.
Yeah, I bought EZ Dent. The company that I bought was EZ Dent when I bought it.
Okay, gotcha. And then now you're EZ Auto Spa. So not EZ Dent, but now you're like, look, I do all the things. It's not just Dent. And that may be part of why the other shop even too. It's not EZ Dent, it's EZ Auto Spa. So it's all of this stuff. I want to talk about that, but first I want to ask what your opinion is on other people, because not only PDR techs are listening to this, we got, all the other types of services. Yeah. If they want to add PDR to what they're doing, how do you recommend that they do that? Employee or contractor?
I think that would be a service that's similar to PPF. If you could find someone who has some experience, maybe they aren't an 8-year, 10 or 12-year tech, but they've got 3 years experience, and they work they work outside, and they do wholesale dealership lot. They're sick of the heat, they're sick of the rain, and they're sick of losing weather, days because of weather. But you have a shop, you have something that they want, but maybe they don't want to do that on their own. I would try to find somebody in your market that you could maybe bring on as a partner in that, and give them something they can't do on their own, which is the shop, is the mm-hmm. You handle the marketing, you're handling landing the clients, you're handling the taxes, you're handling all. You're able to bring insurance or whatever it is. And again, to me, and if you can't go down that road and you are going to try to send someone and train them, then you need to know that it's a longer term. And you probably need to establish some relationship with some wholesale just to create a training ground for your tech. Because if you throw a raw tech that you sent to 2 weeks of training and try to send them out in the shop, you're going to have some really pissed off customers.
And you do high end PPF or whatever, and you throw that.
It won't align with who you are as a company. It's not gonna be a clean.
Then the expense on PDR technicians even getting them is it's going to be probably one of the highest. Would y'all say highest in our services?
It can be. It's the highest from a straight labor, but it's the only one that doesn't have material cost.
One that cost.
Yeah, but to get a technician ready for retail is
to get them trained. Yeah, the training is definitely up there. I mean,
it's not just going to be the 2-week course that you send them to some guy for 2 weeks. That's not what we're talking about.
What about the retainer option though? Like, do you find a tech that and say, 2 days a week, I want to set up PDRs for you?
I think if at the end of the day, I'm a big fan of no matter what it is, try to figure out what, I make all my employees do all these personality tests, and it's not because I just want to get their psyche. It's because I want to know what motivates them. And you got to realize everybody that's out there is not going to be motivated by the same thing you are. You may be motivated by money or by freedom or by whatever the thing is, but the next guy may be motivated by not having to ever talk to a customer.
Or security,
or security, or I mean, I have one of my best employees. He's a fantastic technician, does film for us, and this isn't trying to share too much. One of his biggest hangups when we hired him, one of the biggest things was his youngest son plays travel ball baseball, and he wants to be able to go watch his travel ball baseball. So we made an offer to him that allowed him to travel to see these games. That was extremely important to him. That's not going to matter to a 23-year-old who just is hungry and is he just came off the Hail Trail and he made the most money he's ever made last year, and you're trying to recruit him to come to your shop. So finding the right person that cares and sees and understands what you bring as a value, and then also trying to figure out what it is that they're motivated by, and either give them that now or create a path for them to earn that as they're a part of your team. Some people want ownership, so maybe create it to where, hey, let's help build this up, and then we're going to open a second shop together, and you'll own a piece of it. Or, hey, come on board, and after 3 years, if the numbers are this, then I'll give you blank percent. Again, everybody's going to be motivated by something different. So you've got to evaluate who you are and what you're willing to do and give up and all that. But at the end of the day, you really need to align, the right technician, the right staff that wants what you have to offer, right? And the reality is, Ryan, to your point, as a cost and as expensive PDR, I can't afford to hire some PDR guys, and I can't afford to hire some window tinters. I can't afford to hire some detailers. There are guys out there that I would love to have. They're amazing. I just can't afford them because they value dollars over anything else. Well, as a shop, we got more overhead and expense that they'll ever understand. So I just can't. I can't pay anywhere near that, but I can give things that they can't do when they work for themselves on the Hail Trail, or when they, you know what I mean? And so it's about finding the people that value what you have to offer, and knowing that that's a thing.
Good.
Should the goal always be to to have an employee doing that service? If you're saying, hey, I want to add PDR to my ceramic and tinting company, even if you start out as a contractor situation, should the goal always needs to be, if you want to scale, to find an employee, whether it's that person or someone else, where you're like, hey, I'm going to start offering it as a 1099 contractor position. Eventually I'm going to bring in an employee. Or can you just keep it as a contractor forever?
I think if you've got a contractor forever, first off, if your goal is to it depends on what your goal is. If your goal is to grow a business that's got some value, or some investor comes in and buys you out, they don't want to be part of it.
It has to be employees.
It has to be employees. Contractors don't mean anything to them. If you're just trying to create cash flow, contractors are fine, but just know that can go away tomorrow, and there's nothing you can do about that. And so stability is only going to come from you offering some stability to that person, and you're going to gain some stability for your company as a result. If you're not willing and you're not able to offer that stability to the technician, so you need to keep them as a contractor because you're not guaranteed that in the winter you're going to have enough work for them or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Fine. but you can't expect them to be stable and like stick with you when the hail's an hour away or in their back, like, you know, or whatever it is. Like, why would they stick with you if you're not willing to make that commitment to them? You know, so so to me, yeah, I think scaling, you have to go down the W-2, down the employee, down long term. I mean, that's my experience, at least.
Yeah. Can you tell us about how I know we talked about it a lot leading up to it, but you made this full transition into, you know, you were EZ Dent and you were offering all this other stuff. Then it was EZ Dent, Correct, Protect, right? It was like the slow, like, commitment to EZ Dent.
Yeah, I went from EZ Dent for years and years and years. And then we changed over to EZ Dent Auto Spa. And we were trying to, again, marketing is a big thing for me. That's the thing that drives a lot of what I do. And I was trying to tell people what I did. EZ Dent tells people we fix dents. Now, they don't understand exactly what we do, but we make dent repair look easy and blah, 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 whatever. Like, there's some stuff you can do with that. Auto Spa is a name that people understand at least a little more. They don't know exactly what it is, but they know it's something to do with keeping their car rejuvenated, looking clean. You know, go to a spa, you get a massage, you get a pedicure, you get a facial, whatever it is. So for us, we tried to transition that. And what we found was I just put myself in the shoes of the client. And if my goal is to establish trust with that client, and my goal is for them to just say, Matt or Preston or Ethan or whoever the team members they're talking to, I trust your company. I've done my research. You're the company I want to go with. You tell me what to do, right? If that's the end goal that we really want, right? Then I think day one, moment one, when they're looking and they're researching, they're looking at 4 companies and they're saying they're looking for PPF, they're looking for window tint, or they're looking for ceramic or whatever it is. And they got 3 companies, and I'm making up custom names, but it's Atlanta Ceramic Pro or Atlanta Paint Protection Experts or Georgia's whatever it is versus EZ Dent offering PPF. It seems like that's a secondary thing for us.
Yes.
And it was originally. It was originally. But I realized, I looked myself in the mirror, and I mean, I've got, our team with some of the subs and all that, we have around 19 people that kind of make this ship between the 2 shops that are a part of our ship, a part of this every week, right? Yeah. They keep it moving. Of that 19, only 1, 2, 4 of them are PDR techs, right? So it's not, we're not a primarily PDR company, not from staffing, not from our marketing, and not from our message, and not from our revenue even. So that is a finger on our hand, but I needed to communicate that to our employees too. I wanted our employees that are ceramic coating experts, that take their jobs really damn seriously, that come into work and they take their time and they do the cars right. I want them to know that they work at a company that represents who they are and what they care about. So we transitioned over to EZ Auto Spa, and we liked the term. We liked this idea of correct and protect, and we thought that was a unique thing. Most body shops just correct, right? Most ceramic coating and detailers just protect, or maybe they do some paint correction, but it's a lot of, most PPF are just doing protection. But we like the idea that we kind of are falling in between a little bit. We can correct dents, we can correct paint correction, we can fix things that the blemishes you don't like, and then we can take it a step further and keep this from maybe happening quite as often with the PPF or with the ceramic coating options. And so we just like that we've landed kind of in between there. I've talked about this from the PDR standpoint. I always felt like PDR was an urgent care model. It wasn't quite the hospital. It was the faster. It's less invasive. It's a little cheaper. It's maybe you don't want to go through insurance. That's kind of the lane it falls in. So, a lot of what we want to do is just think about the way our customer envisions us and looks at us, and is the marketing and our name and everything aligned with that. And I didn't feel like it was until we made that transition over. Yeah. And we want to, again, we want to highlight and are proud of the things we do, be it PDR and hail, or the ceramic coating and the PPF and the tint and all the other stuff. Like, both to our client. When a client drops off with us, we want to be experts at that thing, to where they as much as they want to know, we've got it as a resource and are able to educate them, to where they, at the end of the day, they said, we appreciate you educating us through your resources, through your videos, through your content, through your conversations. We trust you. Just tell us what to do at this point. Yeah. And that's the goal for all of our interactions with our clients.
I love it.
Yeah. Knowledge, dude. That's awesome. I feel like
Well-
every time I have a podcast, I go back home and I'm like, we got to start running business totally different. So this is all good, man. I hope this is working for everybody else too.
People think that I ran a podcast for 100+ episodes. They think I'm out here doing it for them, but really it's for me. I just get to interview all these people. I'm like over here taking notes on this stuff, and they just get to hear the conversations happening for sure. But
I was just thinking, I missed Matt's presentation over at Mobile Tech Expo this year, and I'm like, I just got it. Appreciate it, Matt.
Yeah.
There you go. I mean, and Corey, I mean, you and I talk about this a lot, that like half the stuff I do or we do as business owners, we're not breaking, we may be feel like we're breaking new ground in a certain industry, but what we're really doing, I know you do this, I know I do this. We read a lot of books from people that are a lot smarter than us.
Yes.
And we try to look at other businesses and saying, all right, why is that working? And how could that translate into what we do? I've gotten to, I know we're on a podcast for guys that are in the industry. I'm not saying that this isn't good resources, but I want to get as many resources as I can outside this industry to bring back to my business, because
absolutely.
All of these industries are very young as a whole. I mean, all of these are. And so there's just so much you can learn out there. And so, a majority of what I do is I just read books, and then I put certain things that I read into practice. And what I just talked about, the trust, is the book I recommended to you that you read, They Ask You Answer. It's literally that book changed. And
you mentioned E-Myth earlier, phenomenal book, which I read.
All of those things.
Were you always a reader, Matt?
No.
Like as me either. It's like as a teenager or young 20s, school time.
Didn't care about it. I got into reading when I could listen to audiobooks and do it while I was working.
100%.
I was about to ask, is it reading or is it audiobooks?
It's 90% audio.
So I do audiobooks, and then if I really like the book, I'll buy the paperback or the hardback.
That's exactly right.
So that I have it on a shelf,
and refer to it.
And I can refer to it, or I can lend it to someone, or I can make notes. Or I can go, there's that quote, and it's like, I don't want to try to listen to the audio and find that quote. Like, it's easier.
Literally the biggest secret out there to getting better in the business world, podcasts and audiobooks, especially in the industry that we do. All of us are out there working with our hands. And at a certain point, it's 95% hands and 5% brain. At a certain point, we're just doing PDRs and doing our thing. Learn some stuff. Most stuff that I say that you've learned from me, the podcast or Matt stuff, like we heard it from other people for the most part. I mean, we put our spin on it, like change it up a little bit, like add our little flair to it, but we learned it from other people. And so, the importance of gaining knowledge on a daily basis is, I've said it a million different times. I can't emphasize it enough. Don't be anti-reading books. If you're saying you want to grow a business and scale and make more money and do all that, but you're like, I don't really read books, like it's never going to happen.
I would encourage you to find, if you find them in your business, great. Even if it's outside your business, find some business owners that are in a similar spot to you, and maybe even some that are a little bit above, so that you can talk to, get vulnerable with, but then also share books, like literally make that a part of your conversation. I mean, Corey and I got to be friends through, I don't know, online, and then we played Topgolf together, and then we just hit it off and started talking, and a lot of
my best golf shot I ever hit in my life.
Right in front of it was a line drive. But yes, a lot of our conversations tend to lead to, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think about this?
Yeah.
And it's a vulnerable. It's asking for you to critique it before I go and spend money and resources and time and make a fool out of myself. I'd rather make a fool out of myself in front of one person than everybody. So.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the trust thing. That's what your customers like. I have this new car. I just spent nowadays $100,000. It seems like every car on. I don't know. Like I've heard of this ceramic thing, like PPL. Like I feel like I don't know what I should do. Can you tell me what I should do? And you learn to trust these people. And same thing goes with Matt. Other people, it's like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Like, what do you like? Tear it down. Tell me why I shouldn't do it, right? Type of thing. So find those people, and then find the knowledge in books, podcasts. I mean, things like that. So
let's get what's 3 good books for any of the listeners that don't.
I love E-Myth. E-Myth changed my career.
That was the first book.
It was the one that I honestly joke about this, and I don't think it's a joke. I genuinely was going to quit PDR. Because I was just burnt out. Like I was making great money, but I was bored out of my mind.
It's a lot of guys.
And I was just, this is not hard, but I don't feel challenged. And I feel just like, is this it? Like career, I've either got to like wrap my brain around just being satisfied outside of career and career just being boring. Or, and it's not, the PDR is not a fantastic career for a lot of people. It just wasn't my thing. I'm not an artistic guy by nature. I don't have that kind of left brain, thoughts. And so as a result, or right brain, or whatever it is. But as a result, I read that book and it changed it changed the way I perceived myself and my role at my own business. That was a big one. The They Ask You Answer was a really big one. That was my favorite one I've read recently. Never Split the Difference is great. That one's an amazing negotiating book. If you're trying to do sales, that's a big one. Corey, what are the ones you like?
Those are probably the biggest ones.
Relations a big one.
Yeah. They Ask You Answer, Never Split the Difference, all books that I've read as well. And honestly, like when I think of like the books, like E-Myth is the biggest one for me, I would say as well, which it is for everybody. And I would say How to Win Friends and Influence People, obviously another classic. Anybody in business that is successful has read that or pulled from it. I'm trying to think. I'm so bad at like remembering the titles of books like on the spot.
I like going through and like, hey, I really want to work on my marketing. So I'm gonna research some of the marketing books.
Pretty much what I do.
But then I also, hey, I really want to work on, building the right team and recruiting the right people. So let me think about how to be a good leader. Start with Why was a big one for me too. Simon Sinek, that one was,
Start with Why. Yep.
That one was huge. And that helped, again, a lot of this, I'm talking about motivating and finding the right technicians that want to be motivated or figuring out those motivations. There's again, these aren't original thoughts. These are things that I read and then just put into place. And then, it does work. Let me tell my friends about this.
Yeah. And I would say recently, anything that Mike Michalowicz has written, I've read 2 of his books now, and every time I read them, I'm like, this guy knows what's up. So Profit First, I think, was a huge book for me. I literally hate accounting. I think it doesn't make sense to me because it's all after the fact. Like we all complain about it. Accounting it's like fake almost. It's not the dollars you actually have. It's just showing you what taxes you have to pay. So if you're running your business based off of like a P&L from 2 months ago that you finally figured out, it doesn't really help you. Like how much money do you have going forward and all that stuff. And people that don't understand that stuff, I've literally talked to them. It's like the accountant says, cool, you made $80,000 last year. They're like, where is it?
Yeah,
it's gone. So the Profit First thing, I think, it's basically like a cash accounting system, which makes sense to me. Multiple different bank accounts, and you're moving money around that way. And then I just read the Pumpkin Plan, and I was like, this is a phenomenal book. Like honestly, like how to grow the biggest pumpkin. Mike, he's a goofball too, which I kind of like because it keeps me entertained through the thing. But anything Mike Michalowicz has written so far, and he's got multiple other books. The Toilet Paper Entrepreneur is the one I'm going to read next. But Ryan
on my list, by the way, that's one. So I haven't read it. I'm glad you liked it. So
dude, it's that he puts stuff in a way. He makes analogies in a way that you'll remember them forever because it's kind of ridiculous. Like how do people grow the largest pumpkins, like award-winning pumpkins, right? So they focus on one thing in the business first, and then they take away all the like dead pumpkins and all that stuff. So it's like the 80-20 Pareto principle. You focus on that and all the stuff that's not. I don't need to explain the whole book. I liked it. So Ryan asked for 3. We gave people like 8. We got E-Myth Revisited, They Ask You Answer, Never Split the Difference, How to Influence People, Start with Why, a book from Mike Michalowicz. All phenomenal options.
Sorry to add another one to the list.
No,
the story brand marketing stuff that what is it? Having a story brand, I think, is the name of the book. There's a whole like marketing guru that does it and they do some classes, but that's a really fantastic one in a nutshell about making your client the hero. And you,
I would say, yeah, that's awesome.
You be Obi-Wan. Like, nobody wants to pay to do business with a hero. Very rarely, right? Like, people that every once in a while Kanye West comes along and it's like that guy says he's the greatest and people give him money. But most people don't want to give money to people who say they're the greatest. People want to give money to people who make them feel like the client is smart, is the hero, is the educated. Yeah. And so again, it goes along with that trust, but we make ourselves Obi-Wan and let the client be the hero of the story.
Implement what you're doing, because there's literally thousands of marketing books. So if you find one that you like, implement that. Don't just listen to marketing books, because they'll have a different spin on it. They'll have a different way to do it. All that stuff. You actually have to implement, like take the action. Read a book and then implement.
I think, and this is the last I'll say about books. I think a lot of these marketing and these books like this, think of them like diets. Like you can do dieting 16,000 different ways, but just doing something is probably going to make you in the right mindset to where you're working on yourself. Same thing with your marketing, with your business. If you're reading these books, it's not that if these two books say to do things two different ways, it's not that one's right and one's wrong. Work. Yeah. But it's that you as a business owner, if you are working on your business and you're consciously in that mindset and thinking about it, your business is going to benefit from it. It's going to be in better shape than it was were you not on that workout regimen or on reading that book or whatever it is. So to me, to not be satisfied with how your business is. And if you want to truly scale and you want to truly grow, it's not just good enough just to add services or just add clients. You have to be working on the business, and the business has to be better than it was 5 years ago. And it needs more revenue, it needs more staffing, these are all the other things. But you as a business owner have to be a better owner than you were 5 years ago too. Like you need to be working on yourself as an owner and working on, so to me, that's the way I kind of live my life, all this stuff.
I love it. Last question, I think, unless Ryan's got something, kind of a combo question. Part A, would you go back and do it again? Or anything a little different? Part B, what advice, now that you've done it, because like you said before, this is pretty much how you teach people things. You go try it and then fail and then say, no, I'll do it this way. So would you go back and do it again / differently? What advice would you give someone that's starting to add now multiple services into their business?
Would I do it again as in offering multiple services, or start the whole thing?
The whole thing, like shop multiple services where you are now, 2 shops.
For sure. I would have done the shop earlier on. I needed the revenue that we went through for a couple of hailstorms. I needed some cash set aside to go through the first year of a shop. So I probably couldn't have started it much earlier than I did, but I would have loved to
different risk levels.
It's different risk levels, or maybe I mean, if you're comfortable, doing debt versus, or having an investor versus doing it yourself, or whatever. So but those are all on the table. But I would have loved to have done this earlier. I think that's so I would have done that. And I think that I would have added specifically ceramic. I would have added that earlier on in our opening the shop. I would have had that, because there was definitely times, I mean, I've told stories with the PDR guys of like dead shops that were just sitting empty for the, and the stresses that go with that. In the first year, that's having
the ping pong
story. Yeah. That's another podcast for another day. But the having those other services, it would have made it feel more stressful when it was dead. But I think it would have, again, business breeds business. The client comes in for one service and they want a second, and all of a sudden you've got a car that you don't have anything to work on today, but that one customer that comes in for an estimate for a dent, all of a sudden you're settling a dent and you get them to talk it into hanging on, leave it here for a ceramic or whatever it is. So and I think we were slow enough the first year that I could have done it with the staff we had. I wouldn't have had to add to my staff to do that service. Nice. So I think I wish that I'd gone back and known the opportunities that were there early on for ceramics specifically.
And then advice for people that want to follow in your footsteps.
I mean, this is something I've said before, but I will say this again. You need, before you do any shop, before you do any hiring, you need to figure out, and you may not know yet, honestly, but you need to figure out what you want to be doing as a career, what you literally on a day-to-day basis want to be doing with your life. because you don't want to make all these risks and hire these people and then all of a sudden find out that you hate being a business owner because you hate dealing with other people's stresses and hearing about them having marital issues or their kids or whatever it is. Like that's part. I mean, you're kind of a dad in a lot of ways. Like
You're coach.
I feel like a coach or a dad or a whatever, Ted Lasso out here a lot of times. So it's great. So I didn't, again, this wasn't original. I read this, but the circle square, I've talked about this on one of the podcasts with you in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I would encourage this before you start. And then as you're going through it, I would literally go through and document what you do with your day every day. Write down everything you do. And if you can do it for a whole week, write down everything you did in a notebook. And then take that pencil and take a circle and circle all the things you absolutely loved about that day. What the things you would do for free, right? And then take that same pencil and put a square around all the things you freaking hated. That you're miserable. You just have to do it to keep the wheels moving, whatever it is. And if you are going to start scaling, the ones I'd start hiring first would be hiring for those squares. Hiring people to do the things you hate doing, if you can. And then do it so that you can do more circles because you're going to be happier. And you never know, that person you hire may think the things you hate are the things they love. There's people that love accounting. There's people that love marketing. There's freaking people that love taxes because that's what they do for a living. You know what I mean? Like that's like a thing. There's people that love interacting with customers. There's people that love just putting headphones in and doing dents or doing tint and not ever talking to customers. So finding the people, and again, that's what I went back to, trying to figure out what you can offer to the person you're hiring, to the technician. That's what you can offer is bring your circles, and we're going to make you do the things that I hate, and you're going to do these because that's the thing you already love. And then constantly evaluating yourself because those are going to evolve too. The thing that you love today, you may get burned out of, and in 2 years, you may find that there's other things you really are passionate about and love. So constantly trying to hire people that do things better than you, that are more passionate about it than you. And when you are going through that, if you aren't circling, I want to grow a business, I want to scale, I like marketing a little bit, I like hiring people, then you probably don't need to be scaling. Like that's if you don't like the idea or you don't like your interacting with other people, you probably don't need to be bringing people into your day to day, right?
Yeah, but if you like the idea of being part of something bigger too, find yourself a mat.
That's exactly
in your area.
Exactly.
It's the what am I reading right now? Also, rocket fuel.
Yeah.
The idea person and the implementer, whatever they say it. So if you like the idea of doing it, but you're like, God, I don't want to do all that stuff. Like every person, every mat wants that person. That's like, dude, here, I want to put my head down. I want to do the work, but I want to be a part of something bigger. I don't just want to be a solo guy. There's there for that idea, that thought is there for a reason. And so find that other person to help you guys and maybe partnership opportunity or whatever there is in that. So I would encourage, if you're like on borderline, like I hate doing all that stuff, but I want to be a part of something bigger. I think these marriages are going to happen more and more in this reconditioning space.
I agree.
And they're not now. Pretty much, it's just a bunch of solo dudes doing their thing. But so I'd say, reach out to those people, talk to those people.
I don't think we talked about it, and I know this isn't like a branding thing, but just when we did go through and went through our ceramic coating, we felt like not settling. We felt like it was the best partnership we could make, and even our relationships with some of the other services we offer, those doors were open because of that relationship. So when you are starting to talk about branding, you guys have clearly done this with RestoreFX. Find brands that believe in you as a business and want to partner with you. I want to see you succeed, but then they also want to open doors to see you succeed in other ways as much as possible. That it's like finding a good accountant or finding a good banker or something like that. Like they need to understand who you are and what motivates you. And we found that again with some of our products that we work with and our products that we offer. So we've really loved that partnership.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you very much. Spending the time, a little over an hour. Tons of knowledge. I appreciate it as always.
Yeah.
Ryan, you got anything on the way out?
Right. Yeah. So if you guys aren't changing anything about your business or lifestyle after this podcast, we're doing something wrong, right?
Yeah.
I think because I'm definitely in it. I know Corey is changing every day, and Matt, we all look up to him on that. So we appreciate Matt coming in.
I love coming in because you guys ask me questions, and I better have some answers because it makes me vet my own processes constantly.
Exactly, 100%. All right, man. I appreciate it. We'll talk soon.
Thank you guys for having me on.
Later. Thank you for listening to the Masters of Recon podcast. If you got any value from the show, then please subscribe and share the show to your favorite social media platform.